All right. Let's talk Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Ready? You ready for Super Bowl? All right, guys. Who y'all pick? Let's get over with. No, I'll just play.
I mean,
we know Terry's not picking the Chiefs, right?
He might.
He's picked against them all year. What's he going to do here? That's what I've been waiting on all week.
Well, I know who my mother's picking is the Chiefs because she actually, the DeBartolo family is from Youngstown, Ohio, that own the 49ers. They still own the DeBartolo family still own them? I don't think they do.
Think so, no.
But she couldn't stand them for whatever reason, and she's always pulled against the 49ers for that. So
wasn't one of them involved in a sexual misconduct controversy? Bought some hookers or something like that. It was something like that.
Speaking,
I don't know if I'd have gone that far.
I'm just telling you, it was something. They got in, one of the owners for the 49ers. She's right. Got into some trouble. George Shin trouble, I think.
You
guys can get the exact
preseason pick was Kansas City to make the Super Bowl. I had Kansas City winning the Super Bowl. I'm gonna stay consistent, even though I like San Francisco a lot. I'm gonna stay consistent and just pick Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
So, well, I had our picks here earlier.
Mine's still correct.
No, it's not. You had Philadelphia, New England.
Come on. That's in the past.
Hunter and I had New Orleans, Kansas City. Terry had Philadelphia, New England. I think Tom had Baltimore and somebody. Did you have San Francisco? You did San Francisco.
I had Baltimore and San Francisco.
Now, Hunter and I both had. I had New Orleans, Kansas City before the season. No, I had New Orleans, the Patriots for the season. You had Kansas City
before
the season. So you got.
I don't remember who I had making it from the NFC because it's so wide open. But
I'm trying to think who you had either. I've got them wrote down in one of these rooms somewhere.
A lot of people just sit here and think about
papers.
it. The 49ers won a total of like 4 games last year. And here they are, Super Bowl the next year. So nobody was expecting this. I mean, I'll say this. I had them making a wild card just as a dark horse. I thought they'd be at least double their wins this year. Not, they had 12 wins, not basically 3 times as many wins as they had last year. So,
I just looked it up. Who owns the 49ers? Denise DeBartolo York, John York. So I guess his daughter and her husband now own it. So my mom still going to pull against the 49ers because of her disdain for the. I just looked up Eddie DeBartolo, who owned them, who's from my hometown. Net worth $2.9 billion. He's done well for himself. But anyway, I
think he'd share some wealth.
No, probably not. But they've talking this game a lot, and I think what everybody's talking about is San Francisco's front seven versus Mahomes and all those weapons. And somebody said that, well, if your team likes the pass, they're going to get beat by the team with the great front seven because that's all Kansas City wants to do is they want to pass. They don't have the running game, and that front seven's going to shut down Mahomes and those wide receivers.
It's funny how Kansas City utilizes their run game. They might not have a traditional running back running the ball, going to get 100-plus yards in the game. They'll run sweeps with Tyreek Hill. He runs basically a 4-2. Like, the dude's got jets. They are deceptive with how Mahomes, and they set up the play action, so that'll really help. But it also helps out with their screen game. They're a great screen football team, whether it's a bubble screen to one of the speed guys they have on the edge, or it's the screen to the running back. Damian Williams almost per game has more receiving yards from a screen than he has rushing yards.
And you got a tight end that runs like a wide receiver. I mean, with
he
Kelsey.
Is a wide receiver.
I mean,
he is.
I mean, it's just, and then Sammy Watkins is like your second or third wide receiver plus Kelsey plus Tyreek Hill. I mean, how you cover all those guys?
Sammy Watkins, you see what he said? He said if we win the Super Bowl this year, he might take next year off.
Didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said I might just take next year off. And
probably gonna go do a lot of steroids and marijuana for a year.
in
the Caribbean.
Because think about it, he'll have made obviously NFL money, and he'll have.
Especially if he's probably got a hidden injury or something.
And he's got his NFL championship, what everybody strives for. It's like, why not?
But I guess how you neutralize all that is pressure on the quarterback. And San Francisco.
That's what Josh Norman said one time. Josh Norman said in an interview, he said, if I win a Super Bowl, I'm retiring after. He said, I've done it.
Well, it's definitely about, and they play a zone too, Tom. So it's 100% about pressure on the quarterback. If you don't pressure him, you're gonna pick apart the zone. Any quarterback can. But looking, Kansas City has struggled with San Francisco plays cover 3. They've struggled when the teams run the run past option, which is the option.
Right. They were. Yeah, I've heard that too.
So, Kansas City, if they can force them into more man, so the run pass option is supposed to force you into a man to make sure you get everyone's got
Well,
a
you got
hat
the
on.
quarterback to run.
So if they can, if the Chiefs can force San Francisco out of the zone, I think that's their chance. There, the San Francisco got a good line there as well. Patrick Mahomes lost 8 games in his career, none of them by more than 7 points. So think about that. Garoppolo, let me give you some quick numbers on him for you Jimmy Garoppolo fans. Some of you aren't around there. Where did he go? All right, 84. He got the best QBR in the fourth quarter in the NFL within one possession. However, that's a lot of math there. He's got the best passer rating with his team trailing this year, 115 with his team down. 60% completion on throws, 15 yards or more. It's the best in the NFL. So he's got the best completion percentage on deep balls. And 154 passer rating, not Mahomes, Garoppolo, outside of the pocket, which was the best in NFL history this season.
And something else.
So we're talking about Mahomes rolling out of the pocket. Garoppolo had the best passer rating outside the pocket.
And something else you got to, not only the defense, but the running game of San Francisco. I know we talked about the Chiefs, but if they're able to grind it out and keep the ball away from them and play good defense,
well,
I think
the 49ers have got it's substantially better running game than Kansas City because Kansas City's is non-existent. They just do it differently than the traditional fullback running back setup that they like to run
they just
with 49ers.
They made Green Bay look awful, didn't they,
They did.
Terry? Gosh
They
almighty.
did.
I mean, I felt sorry for Green Bay. I mean, it's pretty bad when okay, we're going to hand the ball off to this guy, and he's still getting 9 or 10 yards.
The only thing I hate about
every
that
time.
game is I knew a lot of Green Bay fans, and I just sent them a sorry. I mean, I knew if that would have been Dallas, I'd have been like, you
Well, it
mean
was
we
the year
made it
before,
this far and do nothing?
Wow.
I mean, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean,
Happens
that's how
all
you,
the time.
I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
but I will say this. Kansas City's rush defense was not great during the regular season, but when they needed to step up against Derrick Henry, they kept him under 100 yards. They only got him to 70.
Their defense is better than I think some people give them credit for, and that's the difference between this year's team and last
Respectively,
year's.
6 and 7 in the NFL.
All right, let's
49ers
do.
6.
Yeah.
Kansas
Yeah.
City Chiefs
Yeah.
7.
All right, we're gonna finish the show with our picks. Let's do a couple other fun things with Kansas City and San Francisco before we go to our first break. Let's start in San Francisco, and we want to do the Mount Rushmore of 49ers. Hunter and myself did this yesterday.
We had 3 out of the 4.
On both teams, we pretty much agreed to 3 of 4 people on both teams, and the fourth one was just a melee. So he's like, we'll just have to talk to Tom and Terry and see what they go on this. All right, so our 3 automatics for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see if Tom and Terry agree with us. Number 1, Joe Montana.
I agree.
No in particular order. I'm just saying 1, 2, 3. Number 2, Jerry Rice.
I agree.
Number 3,
Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott.
Well, then you have to put Steve Young on there.
Whoa. We'll get to that. So that was the 3 we agreed to. Now, if that's the 3 we agreed to, Tom says Steve Young. Why?
Well, how many Super Bowls he won? 2?
1.
I was thinking he won 2. He won 1 Super Bowl.
1.
Okay. Well, he did win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it just, he's a winner.
Charles
He
Haley
played there a
won.
long
Charles
time.
Haley won
Haley.
5 Super
Yeah,
Bowls.
I guess, yeah, good
3 with
point.
Dallas. He
Good
won
point.
2 with San Francisco. Charles Haley was my 4th.
I guess because you see Steve Young on TV so much.
Hunter had Steve Young. I had
No,
Charles
I didn't
Haley.
have Steve Young.
Oh, did you,
You
have?
wouldn't
That's
let
why
me keep mine. I had Dion.
You had Dion. I said he played like 1 or 2.
No,
he played 1 or 2 years.
And what did he do
Wait,
in those
wait,
1 or
wait,
2
But
years?
if you're going to take Dion, though, then I think he trumps Steve Young because I don't think Steve Young
Hold
wins
on.
that without Dion.
Hold on, you didn't say
What I'm saying.
you didn't say Roger Craig either.
Not
Roger
even,
Craig would have been on mine.
Roger Craig.
Well,
was just
first of
awesome.
all,
he was
Frank-
a thousand guy, wasn't he, Terry? 1,000
Frank
rushing,
Gore's
yeah.
better than Roger Craig.
Frank Gore is 3rd all-time rushing. Third.
Roger Craig would have been on mine, and Charles Haley would have been my other one.
Charles Haley's my 4th. You kicking off Ronnie Lott for
Yeah.
Roger Craig?
Yep.
Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie Lott might be the greatest
Pretty
safety
good.
of all time.
Yeah,
I
he was good.
don't know about all that.
He was pretty good.
He's
Who's
good.
who's the guy
but
that
he,
caught the Dwight Clark? What about Dwight Clark?
Well, he only
caught
had
one pass.
catch. Yeah.
That guy caught a
But
pass.
still,
Listen, this is Mount Rushmore. Montana Rice.
He caught more than one pass.
All right.
Come on.
So my nominations were, I thought Lott's an automatic on that. And Charles Haley were my last two. Hunter had Dion and Lott.
Look up Dwight Clark's stats now.
Oh,
Dion.
Tom, I understand you like Dwight Clark, but
You know why I liked Dwight Clark? Because it was like one of the first games I can remember. It's like 81. That was the 81 season. Maybe I was 7 or 8, and I remember it was like the most amazing thing ever. When
Lynn
he caught
Swan
that
got in the
ball.
Hall of Fame for catching one pass, so congratulations to him. But if you're
Tyree
going to say
Hill might.
if you're going to say Dwight Clark,
All right.
why are you not going to say Terrell Owens?
Because
David Tyree, that's what it is. David Tyree might.
This is what's tough. San Francisco, here's the nominations people you can get, guys. After Montana and Rice, Steve Young, Ronnie Lott, Terrell Owens, Frank Gore, Roger Craig. Tom said Dwight Clark. That's awful. Patrick Willis, Dion if he qualifies, Charles Haley.
Dwight Clark, 2 Super Bowl championships, 2
he
Pro
was the
Bowl
catalyst.
appearances,
He was the
all
catalyst.
pro in 82.
He was the catalyst.
NFL receptions leader in 1982, and his number was retired.
Number
Did you say he-
retired. That gets you in the Mount Rushmore. So he's better than Terrell Owens right now. That's what we're talking about, Tom. I ain't saying he's not.
But you just said he caught one pass, and I
He
just
did.
gave you a no.
So did Lynn Swan.
He didn't get
Tom,
more than one pass.
Listen, I would give you this credit. He's one of the top 40 players. He would be maybe the slot receiver, 4th or 5th wide receiver in San Francisco history.
But
You got Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Terrell Owens.
You acted like he just caught one pass.
He's not
It was
even on
good.
the Mount Rushmore of wide receivers in San Francisco.
He went to. Yeah, he is.
He might be 4th.
He went.
He's behind Rice, Owens, and John Taylor.
No, you're not going to put him ahead of John. Well, I guess John. He had to catch in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I guess.
He had one catch too.
But he went to Garinger High School. Come on, Dwight
right.
Clark went to Garinger.
Congratulations.
He's a local product.
All right,
Come on.
I'll give you this, Tom. Final say on Dwight Clark. I will put him on the Mount Rushmore of Garinger High School.
very, very good.
There
Very
we
good.
go.
Yeah.
All right, Terry, you're 49ers.
Well, those were my 4. I would have took the first 2 that you said, Rice and Montana, Charles Haley, and Roger Craig would have been.
All right,
mine.
Tom, who you got?
I guess Roger Craig's going to be the 4th. Now that I've thought about it, Roger Craig's got to be my 4th. I agreed with the other 3 you came up with. The 4th is tough. The 4th
Yeah,
one's
it is.
tough.
Yeah.
Craig, 8,000 yards. Frank Gore, about 14,000.
Frank Gore's got a lot more yard, but it just seems like
Frank Gore been around forever.
he's been around forever, and he's a great guy, and he's a hard
15,
worker.
16 seasons.
16. See, they did an interview with him and asked him if he wanted to come back, and he said, I still feel good. March, I'm going to kind of explore my options. But he just seemed like a really, really good, just a blue-collar lunch pail type guy.
Whoa.
But
Let's not forget. Randy Moss had a stint in the 49ers.
yeah, but he was
Now Dwight Clark definitely in on that.
Not on that list.
it wasn't a 49. I just
He had a quick stint.
I just feel that Dwight Clark was a lot better than you're giving him credit for.
He was decent.
And he caught that pass. Remember when he caught it, no gloves on? That was the era of
Tom.
no gloves. He went up there and
First
caught
of
it, no
all,
gloves on.
He's not as good as those other ones, first of all. Second of all, you're not going to give me any Cowboys fan at any point give Dwight Clark credit for anything other than pass
You're
interference.
exactly right. I don't give him credit for nothing.
He pushed off in the back of the end zone.
And then which happens on every
He didn't
play.
get
The
2
guy-
feet
the
down.
The guy for
And Montana was trying to
the
just throw the
Vikings
ball
did the
away.
same.
Montana
thing.
traveled.
That's how
He
great
didn't
the catch
dribble
was, Terry. Montana was trying to throw the ball away, and he still caught it.
All right, Chiefs. This is hard too, guys. This is hard too.
Yeah, this
All right.
is
We
pretty
had 3.
We
the same
had 3 we all agreed on, and then of course again the 4th one was the question. So our agrees on. See if y'all get yeses on these. Lynn Dawson. Nobody agrees on that one.
We're just listening.
Derek
Tony
Thomas
Gonzalez.
and Tony Gonzalez.
definitely.
Those are our
The
3.
last 2.
Derek
for sure.
Thomas, Tony Gonzalez,
and
and
Lynn
Lynn
Dawson,
Dawson.
if you go in history. Yeah.
Mm.
So nobody, y'all don't want to kick any of those off? Terry,
No.
you like those 3?
I'll take those 3.
Dawson,
I'll take
Derek
those.
Thomas, and Tony Gonzalez. Then it got crazy.
No Patrick Mahomes. If anybody said Patrick Mahomes, something's wrong with you.
It's not.
He's
not
he's
been
on the
enough
honorable
time.
lynching right now.
It's not been
Okay.
enough time yet.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
he wins this Super Bowl,
We
It's
said
not-
if he wins the Super Bowl, he's on it.
No, not that fast.
Well, Lynn Dawson is on it.
Yeah.
He got one.
Lynn Dawson
Against
played a while. I mean, Patrick Mahomes might not even make another play.
Lynn Dawson was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer at halftime, Terry.
Well, same thing with Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer.
Patrick Mahomes already won a. What do you want? He's already won the MVP with a 50 and 5,000 yard season, 50 touchdown, 5,000 yard season.
So he had
and then back
be
here,
like Randy
and then
Moss playing for San Francisco.
And then if he wins the MVP the next year, and then if he wins the Super Bowl this year, I mean, he's already got a resume in only 3 years.
So the nominees for the fourth currently, this is before the Super Bowl,
Priest Holmes.
were Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles, Marcus Allen, Larry Johnson, Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare.
Joe Montana.
I asked him if that could
Joe
happen.
Montana. I said, no, he's on the 49ers one. They're not putting him on two different ones. Dwayne Bowe, Eric Berry, Tyreek
Dwayne
Hill.
Bowe. I don't want to hear anything about Dwayne Bowe.
I didn't think
Christian
you
Okoye. I just remember the Nigerian Nightmare.
Oh.
Chris Berman made him famous.
Christian Okoye.
that Bleacher Report top 25 Chiefs of all time, you won't believe it,
Nigerian
but Dwayne
Nightmare,
Bowe is
exactly
on
what
that
somebody
list.
else
Yeah, that's
said.
right. Nigerian Nightmare.
Yeah.
Good guy, too. Christian Okoye,
Yeah.
good guy.
You
Nobody
are
wanted,
correct.
in his prime, nobody wanted to tackle him. I mean, when
No.
he's coming at you, man,
Yeah.
nobody wanted any piece of that, man.
Priest.
He was
So
a
we
man.
narrowed it down to Priest and Larry Johnson, and we went with Priest. Holmes was our fourth
Yeah, he had a really great career.
all-time
Yeah.
Chief. The big things that set him, he led the league in touchdowns a couple years, 21 and 27. I think 27, he actually might have broke Emmett's record that year or tied it with rushing. Remember one of those years he was all over his rushing touchdown record. Had 4,000 yard seasons. So the fourth one in both of them we thought is a pretty good argument across the board is who to go with. What do you guys think about that? I can see how many years. I think I don't know how many years he actually played down there, but if you want to talk Montana, 2 years in Kansas City at 37 and 30, that'd be like taking Jordan at the Wizards.
Same thing as taking Mahomes. Yeah.
Terry.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Get out of here.
I think eventually, though, Mahomes is going to be on there.
Terry's-
because
he probably
I think
will.
Mahomes is going to be
he's
on there
gonna
after this year if they
He's
win
good.
it. Ask,
Terry's random
ask
Chief
Chief,
hate.
ask
Really
Chief
good.
fans. They're going to love him to death.
All
More
right.
than what they already do with him. If he brings them a Super Bowl in his third
All I'm
season.
going to do right now and